There's a question I ask every female author that I'm working with when she starts to feel stuck when writing her book. I like to ask, what are you afraid of if people actually read your book? And almost every time, almost every single time, the answer is the same version or something along the lines of, what if I give away too much? And this is exactly what I want to talk about in today's video, because I'll be posting this right around International Women's Day 2026. And the theme this year is give to gain. And I think it's a really important question that we're all sitting with right now as we embark on to a new future and inviting more perspectives and voices into the world. But this topic is also very interesting to explore. So I'm Charlotte Chipperfield. I'm a story strategist. I work with primarily female authors and leaders around the world to help shape their voice and message and get it out into the world to create positive impact and inspire change. I'm also an award-winning author, developmental editor, and book coach. I wrote the book Write with Intention, A Mindful Journey to Writing Your Book, and I absolutely understand this question of am I giving away too much? Am I sharing too much? Is it too much in general? Maybe you feel like it's too personal, or you're too vulnerable, or maybe not vulnerable enough. Maybe it feels too risky to put your story out into the world. So what I've learned through my own experience of writing a book and then working with tons of authors in the coaching capacity is that you're not giving away too much. What's really happening behind that is that it's a signal that you are writing an impactful story that's going to be very important in the world. So if you're questioning if you're giving away too much, that means you have something incredible to share with the world. So how do you reframe or start to think about, okay, what's too much? How do I present this? What do I put forward into the world to share my story and to invite people into your world? So when women really give voice to our experiences, when we name what we've survived or what we've learned, and we can see what other people can't name, we actually don't lose anything. So we're not losing a part of ourselves. We're actually allowing others to be seen and heard in their own experiences. Maybe you can think about some of the books that have changed your life or maybe your perspective. I'm willing to bet that the author, at least once on that journey, questioned if they were giving away too much, or we're wondering if anyone's going to listen to what they have to say or read what they have to say. But it's likely that there was something in that book that made you feel less alone or made you feel seen within your own experiences. So that's really what books can do. And that's what your story can do. So if you are questioning what is too much to give away, I want you to consider these 3 different kind of ideas or points to think about to consider when you should be giving more or maybe when it's just enough. Ultimately, it's not about giving everything away in our books. It's about serving where your reader is and where you want them to be at the beginning of the book and by the end of the book. And so being clear on the journey that you're taking them on and what is most important for them to know first, second, and third is what's going to help frame your stories, your experiences, and you know exactly what needs to be in that book. Where I find people are hesitating is just when they're questioning their own voice, their own stories, their own experiences, and the value that can be found in the meaning of sharing your experiences. So here are 3 things to consider, and you might see yourself in one of these to really help you recognize how you can kind of pull your power back to yourself and own what's really important behind the book you're writing. And so the first myth is really thinking about kind of the myth of the perfect moment. So that might be feeling like this isn't the right time to write a book. I don't have enough to write about in a book. But let me tell you, if you feel like you could sit down and have a conversation with them and give them any sort of advice, then you definitely have a book within you. And if you are a leader or an executive, a coach, a CEO in this world, there is so much that we need from the female perspective when it comes to leadership to help craft a future that we all want to live in. And, having those ideas and your thought leadership in books can just be such a powerful way to connect with people. And the other thing about that is that when you are capturing your ideas into a book, people aren't necessarily going to retain every single sentence that you put forward. So that means that maybe someone reads your book the first time and they take away one core lesson that you had in there that's so powerful, it changed them. But maybe they reread it a year later and they're like, oh, I didn't even register this other piece that was so important to me because I was so focused on this part of my journey. I know I've gone back and read books multiple times and gained so much more out of the second or third pass through. So don't feel like you have to limit what it is that you put into a book because people are going to gain what they need in that space and time as they are reading your book. So anyways, back to this myth of the perfect moment. So there's this idea of like when the kids get older, or when I have more time, or maybe on summer break or on a vacation, I'm going to start writing my book. And that's not always the case. Writing a book is very much so about finding these little windows. Maybe it's 15, 20-minute increments. Maybe it's 30 minutes twice a week to really dedicate to shaping your ideas and getting words onto the page. So the moment ultimately will never feel perfect. And the story you have right now is the story that is ready to be told. And it is good enough as it is. 2 is falling into the comparison trap. So this is looking at, well, that person got a book deal, or this person seems to know more than I do, or they have a bigger budget. So that's not helpful when we're comparing ourselves to other people. Writing is such an individual sport, if you will. Like, we spend so much time alone, and there is a process from going from idea all the way to a published book. And so it's just being able to honor where you are on that journey and not comparing yourself to other people, because that's going to take you off into tangents and create self-doubt and second guessing. That is not going to be helpful in helping you continue to move forward and get your story out into the world. So the third piece here is the permission problem. And this is something I see and hear from so many of the women that I coach, is just, who am I to write this? And I know that can feel like very resonant. I know I felt like that for a minute with my own book, but when I really sat down and dug into why I'm writing this book, it was so much bigger than just me, right? I'm bringing people together on a journey to help them be successful. And that is so powerful and so impactful. So helping people is not a question of like, who am I to write this? I know that I can help people. I know that I can structure things in a way that makes it easy for those to digest and understand their own writing process, both from a mindset and a logistical, like, to-do list. So you are likely have that within you too. You have a structure, you have a perspective, you have a POV on what you do, and that can really help people craft stories that are really powerful. And I'm coming at this with a little bit more of that nonfiction lens, but it's also true in fiction. If you were taking your life experiences and putting them into fiction books so that people learn about divorce and love or family, or traveling the world to find yourself. Those are all really important themes that are often pulled from our own individual life. So even if you're writing in fiction and you're not creating thought leadership per se, you're still bringing a perspective that's really important that can be based on your own experiences of the world. And again, a reader might feel very seen and heard when they are reading that book. Okay, so I want to tell you about one of the authors I recently worked with. She wrote a nonfiction book on leadership, and it's a book that just came out and also just won a nonfiction award. And the thing is that when she started writing this book, she had some fears about what it was going to be. And was it the right time? Was she the one to tell this? Was it going to connect with people? She really did have a good sense of what it was she wanted to share. It just wasn't sure how it was going to come together, who it was going to be for, and how that impact was going to be received. And so that led to a little bit of guessing around like, is this going to be worth my time? Like, I think so, I don't think so. I think so, I don't think so. And so it was a little bit of this back and forth. And so we worked together to really help her get clear on why she was writing this book, what the impact was going to be, and then she was able to really focus and hone in on the key messages, the key experiences, and the insights she wanted to share so that the readers really understood the concepts and grounded them for them so that they could implement and use them within their own leadership techniques. So she was able to overcome that resistance and not question, who am I to do this, but who am I not to do this? This ultimately, to me, is really what it is in order to give to gain. So this is where we are putting our fears aside in service of other people so that more people can gain and understand how they can better their lives, better their leadership, better their relationships, whatever the topic you might be writing on, is that we are creating a better, more positive world when we share our insights and our experiences. So if you're a woman looking to write a nonfiction book and you know there's something inside of you, but you're not necessarily sure how to craft it, what it's going to look like, I invite you to have a one-on-one conversation. You can find the link to sign up and we can chat through your ideas. I'm also hosting a workshop on March 25th. It's all about how to take your nonfiction idea and bring some concrete structure to it so you can be set up to be successful along the writing journey. And if this video resonated with you, please like it, subscribe to the channel so you never miss a thing. Also share this with anyone else who might be considering to write a nonfiction book, because when we have more women voices out into the world, we have more perspective, we understand more experiences, we can develop deeper empathy, and we can really shape the future that we want to step into. Because that's what it really means to bring this idea of give to gain into action. So thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you in the next video.